Morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. We'll start by giving tzedakah. Gedel tzedakah, shemekarav tzedakah, Mitzvah Hashem, giving tzedakah and learning will bring Mashiach. Also, this whole series is for the Yidden Eretz Yisroel, for Yidden everywhere, but specifically in Eretz Yisroel, and specifically the hostages and the soldiers, and they should come back safe and sound. And we're going to focus today on Adi Margolit Bat Elka. She should be healthy, safe, and only good should come. And Mitzvah Hashem Mashiach already. Okay, just before we start today's class, on a story that's connected with this class. So for me, it's a famous story already. Basically, there's a Gutnik from Australia. He used to learn, I think it was in Tells, in Ohio, Cincinnati, in the middle of America, in Litvish Yeshiva. And then he ended up becoming Lubavitcher, connected to the Rabbi. So when he came back to visit from Australia, besides going to the Rabbi, he first went to his yeshiva, his old yeshiva, and he talked with his old Rosh Yeshivas and things. And they had a question. And he came and afterwards he came to the Rebbe. He told the Rebbe their question. So this is what the question was. They had two questions. They said, first of all, why does a Rebbe not consult other gedolim when he does something? He makes a mitzvah tefillin, mitzvah kashrus, mitzvah ta'aseh shpacha, mitzvah whatever. He never speaks to gedolim before he does it. He just by himself, he goes like, what is this? The guy does by himself. He doesn't speak to us. That was the one question. One taina. It was a question, but it's more like a complaint. And the other complaint was they took a medrash, a random, at the medrash, Hashem has wants to have a dwelling place below. And they made the whole Judaism out of this thing. And he's like, well, I don't get it. Like, what happened? So Rabbi Gutnik told him, he goes, when I'll go to the Rebbe, I'll speak to him about it. So he's in front of the Rebbe, and he's telling the Rebbe this story. So the Rebbe said that they answered their own question. And he explained. He said, if you don't understand why it's so important, the Medrash, Hashem has desire to make a dwelling place below, then how do you expect me to come to you and to discuss ideas and get your opinion on something? You don't get the whole basics of Judaism. And so I don't know if you went back then and told them, but I think it's a very powerful message, and it's a very interesting story. Understanding that this idea that Chassidus based itself heavily on of Hashem having desires for a dwelling place below is a very fundamental point. And today we're going to discuss it a little bit. Well, not a little bit. We're going to discuss it. So let's see. And also maybe this will help us understand what the Rebbe was trying to say. If you don't appreciate what this means, then how am I supposed to discuss with you what we should do for the Jewish people? Let's see. And this also, everything we talked about now, that we've shown how by a person we have the greatest milah. The lower you go, the higher it's coming from. Like the wall, the higher it is, the further it falls. Things like this. Now we can understand why this world is better than the spiritual worlds. Even the spiritual worlds are more connected to God. So why is this world better? And also the advantage, the specialness of the body, of the neshama coming down into a body and into the natural soul. In contrast, in contrast to the neshama being in Gan Eden, in the ultimate unity with godliness. That it's better for the neshama when it's down here in the physical world, more so than when it is in the perfect, pristine state of bittul in front of godliness. Or in to make it maybe more tangible, it's better when we're living now in this physical world versus before we were in seminary or yeshiva or in that bubble of spirituality. It's much greater now. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Sefer Tanya, Perek Lamed Vav, that the ultimate purpose of the creation of this physical world, that Hashem had a desire to make a dwelling place below. This is the ultimate purpose. And this is through the many contractions that are concealing the light from Hashem that's coming all the way down. All these different concealments. Until they created this coarse physical world. Meaning we are the only physical world. Above us is all spiritual. And all those spiritual descents from the highest of levels, the most connected, all the way down to our physical world, to coming to the extent that it becomes from spiritual to physical, where down here is where it's at. And this is the lowest of levels, that there's nothing lower than our world. In the idea of concealment of Hashem's presence. Double darkness. It's like layers of paint. You put layers upon layers. It's layers of darkness. To the extent that in our world it's full of klippa and sitra achra, which are literally against Hashem. Saying I and nothing else. That's how concealed godliness is in this world. And still, this is where Hashem desired to have a dwelling place. So how does that happen? So the whole purpose of the descent of the concealment of all the spiritual worlds is all for our physical world. Our world is the ultimate purpose. Because this is what came up on Hashem's mind, that he'll have pleasure. That through having a skafia and sitra achra, that we do that, we hold ourselves back and we transform our negative into positive. Transforming the darkness into light. And for this, Hashem gave us the strength and the power that would be able to overcome our nefesh bahamis. And that is the whole purpose, that we in this physical world that have a nefesh bahamis that is concealed, that we live in a world that even can deny the existence of godliness. Not can, does. And nevertheless, when we do a mitzvah, when we have iskafia, and we have ishapcha, and we transform this darkness of this world to light, we show how really this world is a place for God. And this is Hashem's garden, coming out of Basi Lagani. And we do this, and we overcome Yetzer Hara and nefesh bahamis. That's exactly why we were made, and that's how all worlds were created for this. And the reality is, to overcome the body and the nefesh bahamis, to be able to make those right decisions and have that iskaf in this hapra, is the way to do it. Is a way through. It's through a war. We're talking about this, and as we've been learning, I used to say, through us doing our war, that helps the war in Eretz Yisroel. And this is here, he's saying clearly that the waging war, it is a war to overcome the Yetzer Hara and nefesh bahamis. That we need to know. Ki hanefesh bahamis v'Yetzer Hara, and this is a very powerful, important message that is very powerful. That person needs to know ki hanefesh bahamis v'Yetzer Hara, our nefesh bahamis and our Yetzer Hara, heim soinov, they're our enemy. They hate us. Hayese gudelim, they're the worst, they're the greatest of our enemies. And they desire our spiritual death. They come with the sleazy salesman. They do a very good job of selling themselves. They convince us. A love and very cunningly they get us to go away from the true life. B'shmir satira of mitzvahs, with fulfilling Torah mitzvahs, al yidei kama inyane heter, l'mayis tavos nafshe, through permissible things to fulfill the desires of our soul. This is very important. I just don't want to miss. It's a very important point. I have to recognize that the nefesh Bahamas, the Yetzer Hara for sure is your enemy to the utmost. It wants us to have a depressed, unhappy life, and this is why we have to learn that when we notice that the Yetzer Hara is talking, so I know I'm not going to listen to it. It's like some crazy person is talking to you. You don't take into consideration what they're saying. They're crazy, so you're like, I can shut off now. And this is the Yetzer Hara. That's what the Yetzer Hara does. But with the problem, the challenge we have is we don't recognize the Yetzer Hara. So first of all, we have to recognize when it's the Yetzer Hara talking. We have to realize, like we're saying here, the Yetzer Hara is our enemy. It's not there to make us lives better. And when we're down and depressed, and we go to eat ice cream, we have to recognize who's telling me to do this. The Yetzer Hara. It's not to make my life better, it's not to help me. But the Yetzer Hara is very convincing. It's very cunning. But the point is, this is a very important axiom that we have to instill within ourselves. If I notice it's coming from the Yetzer Hara, not good. And the Nefesh Bahamas is the same idea. The Nefesh Bahamas means Nefesh Bahamas, and this is sort of the difference. The Nefesh Bahamas he's saying here is coming to kill you spiritually. Meaning the Nefesh Bahamas in Basi Lagani talking about Nefesh Bahamas, we have to convince it to care for Elikus. And this is what we're going to do. But the problem is, by nature, the Nefesh Bahamas doesn't care about spirituality and godliness. It cares about physicality. So when you come to Nefesh Bahamas, say, come, let's learn. Yeah, Nefesh Bahamas says, why would I do that? Let me go eat something. Let me go watch a movie. Let me go text somebody. And let me just do something else. It doesn't tell us something else is bad for us, but really that's what it is. And he's trying to desensitize you to godliness. Not because he hates godliness as much as because he cares about physicality. We have to recognize that these things destroy us and don't give us the ability to connect to who we really are. And the way it goes, like we're saying here, first it goes to fulfill the desires of permissible things. It's kosher. I remember when I was in Marastan many years ago, they had a guy, he was like in Kashrus, wasn't Lubavitcher. You'll understand by the story for sure, that he said, ice cream. He was complaining about some issues, like he was a Pesach, he wrote about Pesach stuff. So he goes, ice cream, and he goes, ice cream. It's eat ice cream. Ice cream is kosher. Eat as much as you want. Just don't eat this other thing. I don't know what it was. And I was like, what? So he doesn't know. He doesn't know Chassidus. He doesn't understand. But this is what we're saying here. We have to be careful. Now, it doesn't mean we go extreme, of course. Everyone has to moderation. You have to let the process. But we have to recognize that the Nefesh Bahamas, Yetzer Hara, they're not there for your benefits. And if you listen to them the whole life, your life would be in a bad place. And that's what we're saying. And this is, it's something we have to recognize. And slowly they push us away. And they go from what's permissible to heter gamo ela heter shel b'diavad. They go from heter, something that's permissible. That's for sure permissible. It's a good hachsher on this ice cream. And then it goes to, it's not such a good hachsher on ice cream, but it's still good. It's still ice cream, it's still kosher. And I'm just using ice cream it's a bad example. Anything else that we do to ourselves, that we say to ourselves, is this the best thing for me? Should I really be doing this? So we say, what do you mean? It's kosher. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And then it goes from, it's a little bit less good, but it still works somehow. Until they get us accustomed to all these taivas. And they get that power, the lust, the desire to become used to this. Not to be able to withstand and hold themselves back. And also when it comes to seeing things, it gets us accustomed to being able to look wherever we want, and then suddenly we can't control ourselves. We shouldn't be looking in places. You shouldn't see these things, but it's not even an issue anymore. And what happens? The eye sees, and the heart desires. And then our spiritual power, spiritual strength becomes very weakened. To be able to hold ourselves back. and our physical desires. And we become subjected and subjugated to nefesh bahamis, Yetzer Hara. We have no control anymore, and we lose our sensitivity, and till things become just we don't even realize. So we have to stop here. And Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we'll finish up. We'll try to finish up the parak over here. And remember, and then what we're saying is we have to recognize when's it coming from the Yetzer Hara, the nefesh bahamis, and recognize that they're not there coming for our benefits. But for us, benefit is connecting with our godly soul. It doesn't mean we don't go to work, of course, and we don't eat and sleep and take care of ourselves, but it means we do all those things for a godly sake. And Mitzvah Hashem, all of us will continue recognizing the Yetzer Hara for where he is and recognize how to say no. Have a great, great day.